Time for chapter 7 in Lady Lollipop. This is called What a Good Girl. The next thing to do, said Johnny to Lollipop once the princess had gone, is for me to teach you to obey her. I shan't be able to get away with whispering in your ear every time. I've never used food rewards with you before, but I think this is the time to start. And he begged a small stack of horse biscuits, from one of the stable lads in the mews. When the princess next visited the stall, Johnny explained his plan to her. First, tell Lollipop to sit, he said, which you're going to do in a nice voice, aren't you? The princess nodded. And then, said Johnny, if she doesn't obey you, simply turn your back on her. But if she does obey you, then give her a few biscuits and a lot of praise. Understand, miss? The princess nodded. So Johnny passed her a handful of the biscuits, which she pocketed. Then he in turn nodded directly at her. Before them, Lollipop stood, her eyes fixed on the girl. She had seen the handful of biscuits. She could smell them. She wanted them. Sit, Lollipop, said Princess Penelope in a quiet voice. The pig remained standing. The princess turned her back on her pet. Lollipop looked up at Johnny. It was an inquiring look, a what have I done wrong look. Can you see her? What did I do? Johnny said nothing, but merely frowned and shook his head at the pig. Turn around again now, miss, he said, and try again. The princess turned. Sit, she said quietly once more. Lollipop shot a glance at Johnny and saw that he was both smiling and nodding. She also saw that the princess's hand had gone to her pocket. The pig sat down. What a good pig, cried the princess, and she held out some biscuits in the palm of her hand. There she did it. Lollipop took the biscuits quite delicately, at the same time giving out a string of contented little grunts. Johnny, who understood her language pretty well, was fairly certain that she was saying, hey, this girl's not so bad after all. The boy has never rewarded me with food, but the girl is going to do it if I do what I say. If I do what she tells me, I'm sorry. And so when the princess said, stand, the pig stood up and got some more biscuits and a lot more praise. What command shall I try next, Johnny? Said the princess again in a quiet voice. I think we'd better just stick to SIT and STAND for the moment, miss, replied Johnny. I'm spelling them, he said, so as not to muddle her. Try another SIT. So the princess did, and the pig obeyed immediately. Reward and praise followed, as they did after Lollipop just as promptly stood again when she was told. After a dozen sits and stands, Johnny said, I think that's enough for today. We don't want to get her bored. She's done very well. What about me, Johnny, said the princess with just a touch of her old petulance. You've done very well too, miss, very well. Anyone would think you were training me, laughed the princess. I'm surprised you didn't say, what a good girl, and offer me some horse biscuits. When can I have my next lesson, Mr. Skinner, sir? Here's our piggy friend. Tomorrow, miss, Johnny said. I wish you'd stop calling me miss, said the princess. But you said you didn't mind. I don't, but why can't you call me by my name? Can you, Penelope? Call you Penelope, do you mean? Yes, said the princess. Think about it. See you tomorrow. Johnny thought about it. If I do call her Penelope, he said to himself, she'll maybe get angry and bite my head off. Likewise, if I don't. Can't win. But then something told him that he would be silly not to do as the princess asked. It was beginning to look as though she wasn't such a bad sort of a girl after all. The end of chapter 7. Bye bye.